Hello, everyone. Do you ever feel like you're standing at the edge of your own life, waiting for some invisible force to give you permission to jump in, waiting for the perfect time, the perfect plan, or the perfect plan, or the perfect version of yourself? Here's the truth: your life is waiting for you to wake up, and it's not going to wait forever. Vulnerability often gets a bad reputation. We associate it with weakness, failure, or a lack of control. Society tells us to toughen up, to hold it together, and to push through without showing cracks in our armor. But what if vulnerability isn't the enemy we think it is? What if, instead, it's the doorway to everything we're searching for: connection, courage, creativity, and fulfillment? At its core, vulnerability is the willingness to show up and be seen, even when we can't control the outcome. It's the choice to lean into uncertainty and risk, knowing full well that things might not go as planned. That takes a tremendous amount of strength, far more than pretending we're invincible ever could. Vulnerability isn't weakness, it's courage in its rawest form. Think about the moments that have shaped your life the most, the ones that have left you breathless with joy or aching with loss. Were you guarded, detached, or playing it safe in those moments? Probably not. The most meaningful experiences of our lives come when we allow ourselves to be open, falling in love, pursuing a dream, asking for help, or daring to say, "This is who I am." These moments are vulnerable by their very nature, and they are what make life rich and worthwhile. The trouble is, most of us avoid vulnerability because it feels uncomfortable, it feels risky. We'd rather hide behind masks of perfection or indifference because those feel safer. But here's the truth: avoiding vulnerability doesn't protect us, it imprisons us. When we refuse to be vulnerable, we disconnect from the things that make life meaningful. We keep ourselves from truly being seen, and as a result, we miss out on genuine connection and intimacy. For example, consider relationships. How often do we hold back our true feelings because we fear rejection? How many times have we avoided difficult conversations because we were afraid of being misunderstood or judged? Ironically, it's this very avoidance that creates distance. Vulnerability is what bridges the gap between people. It's what allows us to say, "I'm scared, but I trust you," or "I need help," or "I love you." These moments of openness invite others to meet us where we are, and that's where connection happens. But vulnerability isn't just about relationships with others, it's also about our relationship with ourselves. When we're vulnerable, we confront the parts of ourselves we'd rather ignore: the fear of failure, the need for approval, the wounds we haven't healed. This self-awareness is essential for growth. Vulnerability is the soil where creativity and innovation thrive. Every great idea, every work of art, every act of bravery begins with someone saying, "I'm willing to take the risk." Of course, vulnerability doesn't come without pain. There's always a chance we'll face rejection, failure, or disappointment. But the alternative, shutting ourselves off, is far worse. Life without vulnerability is life without depth, and that's no life at all. Shame is one of the most pervasive and destructive emotions we can experience. It's that quiet, insidious voice in our minds that whispers, "You're not enough, not smart enough, not successful enough, not attractive enough, not lovable enough." Unlike guilt, which focuses on actions: I did something bad, shame focuses on identity: I am bad. This distinction makes shame far more toxic because it attacks the very core of who we are. Shame thrives in secrecy. It grows stronger in the darkness, feeding on silence and isolation. When we keep our struggles hidden, shame convinces us that we're the only ones who feel this way, the only ones who failed, made mistakes, or fallen short. But the truth is, shame is universal. Everyone experiences it at some point because everyone has fears about their worthiness. The question isn't whether you'll feel shame, it's what you'll do when it shows up. One of the most damaging effects of shame is its ability to paralyze us. It tells us we shouldn't even try because we're destined to fail. It convinces us that vulnerability is too risky and that perfection is the only path to acceptance. So we hide behind perfectionism, overachievement, or people pleasing, or we numb ourselves with distractions, work, social media, food, alcohol, anything to avoid sitting with the discomfort of shame. But these strategies don't free us, they trap us in a cycle of fear and self-doubt. The more we try to outrun shame, the tighter its grip becomes. Letting go of shame begins with understanding its nature. Shame tells us lies, and its power comes from our belief in those lies. When we start to question them, shame loses its hold. For instance, if shame says you'll never be good enough, ask yourself, by whose standards? If it says people won't accept you if they know the truth about you, ask, who are the people I'm trying to impress and why? Often we find that the standards we hold ourselves to are unreasonable or come from external pressures that don't align with our values. The antidote to shame is connection. While shame makes us want to hide, connection requires us to step into the light and let ourselves be seen. When we share our struggles with trusted people, we discover that we're not alone. Empathy, the simple act of someone saying, "I've been there too," is a powerful tool for dismantling shame. It reminds us that our worth isn't determined by our mistakes or perceived failures. Self-compassion also plays a crucial role in letting go of shame. Treating ourselves with kindness, the way we would a dear friend, helps to counteract shame's harsh and critical voice. This doesn't mean excusing poor choices or avoiding accountability. It means recognizing that being human means being imperfect. When we embrace that truth, we free ourselves from the unrealistic expectation of flawlessness and allow ourselves to grow. Letting go of shame is an ongoing process, not a one-time decision. Owning your choices is one of the most empowering actions you can take in life. It's about recognizing that while you can't control everything that happens to you, you have a say in how you respond. Every decision, no matter how small, shapes your journey, and acknowledging that responsibility gives you the power to create a life that aligns with your values and aspirations. For many of us, the idea of owning our choices can feel daunting. It's easier to blame circumstances, other people, or even bad luck for the things that aren't working in our lives. But when we do that, we give away our power. We become passive participants, waiting for someone or something else to change our reality. Owning your choices doesn't mean taking the blame for everything. It means accepting that you have agency, even in challenging situations. Taking ownership begins with self-awareness. Too often, we make decisions on autopilot, influenced by habit, societal expectations, or fear. For example, how many times have you said yes to something you didn't want to do because you were afraid of disappointing someone? Or how often have you stayed in a situation that no longer served you because change felt too overwhelming? Owning your choices requires you to pause, reflect, and ask yourself, why am I doing this? Does this align with who I want to be? It's about shifting from reactive to intentional living. It's important to acknowledge that not all choices are easy. Sometimes the path that aligns with your values requires discomfort, sacrifice, or risk. For instance, pursuing a career change, ending an unhealthy relationship, or setting boundaries with loved ones can be incredibly challenging. These decisions might come with temporary setbacks or uncertainty, but they also open the door to growth and fulfillment. Owning your choices means prioritizing long-term alignment over short-term comfort. One of the most liberating aspects of owning your choices is recognizing that you don't need to wait for the perfect moment. Perfection is a myth, and the idea that you need to have everything figured out before taking action often leads to paralysis. Life doesn't come with guarantees, and waiting for certainty can mean missing out on opportunities to learn and evolve. Even making the wrong choice can provide valuable lessons and help you course correct. What matters is that you take ownership of your decisions and move forward with intention. Another critical aspect of owning your choices is letting go of the need for external validation. It's natural to want approval from others, but when you make choices solely to please people or fit societal molds, you betray your own needs and desires. True fulfillment comes from living in alignment with your values, not from meeting someone else's expectations. This requires the courage to stand firm in your decisions, even when others don't understand or agree. Lastly, owning your choices also means owning their consequences. Every decision comes with outcomes, some expected and others unforeseen. When you take responsibility for those outcomes, you gain the power to learn and adapt. Mistakes are not failures, they're opportunities to grow and refine your path. Living with wholeheartedness means fully engaging with life, not holding back, not shrinking to fit someone else's expectations, and not letting fear of failure or rejection dictate your choices. It's about embracing the fullness of who you are, imperfections and all, and showing up in the world with courage, authenticity, and gratitude. Wholehearted living isn't about perfection, it's about intention. It's about making a conscious choice to live in alignment with your values and to find meaning and connection in both the ordinary and extraordinary moments of life. One of the core components of wholehearted living is cultivating gratitude. It's easy to fall into the trap of focusing on what's missing, what we don't have, what we haven't achieved, or what hasn't gone our way. Gratitude shifts the focus to what's present and abundant in our lives. It's not about ignoring challenges or pretending everything is perfect. It's about recognizing the beauty and blessings that coexist with life's difficulties. Practicing gratitude daily, whether through a journal, a moment of reflection, or a simple acknowledgement of joy, helps us build resilience and maintain perspective. Another key aspect of wholehearted living is setting boundaries. Often we think of boundaries as walls that keep people out, but they're more like guidelines that protect what matters most to us. Boundaries are essential for preserving our energy, time, and emotional well-being. Without them, we risk overextending ourselves, saying yes to things that drain us, or allowing others to dictate how we spend our days. Living wholeheartedly means being clear about your priorities and standing firm in your decisions, even when it's uncomfortable. It's an act of self-respect and a way to honor your capacity to show up fully for the things and people you care about. Wholehearted living also requires vulnerability and courage. It means letting yourself be seen, even when it feels risky. Too often, we hide behind masks of perfection or put up emotional walls to protect ourselves from being hurt. But in doing so, we also cut ourselves off from connection, joy, and love. Living wholeheartedly means taking the risk of being real, sharing your fears, your dreams, your failures, and your triumphs. It's not about oversharing or seeking attention. It's about embracing your humanity and allowing others to see you as you truly are. Another pillar of wholehearted living is staying present. In a world that constantly demands our attention, it's easy to get caught up in the past or worry about the future. Wholeheartedness invites us to return to the present moment and to engage fully with what's in front of us. Whether it's a conversation with a loved one, a walk in nature, or simply enjoying a quiet moment, being present allows us to experience life more deeply and appreciate its richness. Finally, wholehearted living involves giving yourself permission to feel all your emotions, not just the pleasant ones. Society often pressures us to avoid discomfort or stay positive. But true wholeheartedness means allowing yourself to grieve, to be angry, to feel joy, and to celebrate without guilt. It's about honoring the full spectrum of your emotional experience, knowing that each feeling is a part of your humanity and a sign that you're truly alive. So here we are at the edge of a decision. Will you keep waiting, or will you finally wake up and step fully into your life? The truth is, no one else can do this for you. It's your life, your story, and your choice to live it boldly. Embracing vulnerability, letting go of shame, owning your choices, and living with wholeheartedness aren't just abstract ideas, they're practices that require courage and commitment. But the reward is immense, a life filled with connection, meaning, and authenticity. A life where you can look in the mirror and say, this is who I am and I am enough. Your life isn't waiting for the perfect version of you or the perfect timing. It's waiting for you right now as you are in this moment. So take a deep breath, summon your courage, and show up. Because the world needs what only you can bring, and you deserve to live fully awake in the beauty of your one wild and precious life. Wake up, your life is waiting. What will you do next?